Good evening, race fans, and welcome here to Sonoma for tonight's Sonoma 110. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me, as always, is Chris Wright. Chris, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. Ready to do some road racing here in Sonoma.
Absolutely. Should be another great night of racing here in the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. As you can see on the screen, we are here at Sonoma. Like I mentioned, 111 is the track temperature, 78 degrees ambient temperature, 55% relative humidity, and as always, partly cloudy with 2-mile-per-hour wind. Let's take a look at our race information here tonight. 55 laps, no stages, and 4 sets of tires. We have just wrapped up qualifying down here on the racetrack. Let's see if we can go ahead and pull up our starting grid. As you take a look on the screen here, you do see on the pole David Tooker with the quick time, followed by Ethan Stanley on the front row. Tate Lytle, Jonathan Cutlip, Tyler Fody, Kean Raleigh in row number 3, Justin Fuller, Leighton Norgard, Scott Crump, Ethan Burrell, the top 10, Seth Rawls, Chad Frankenfield in row number 6. Row 7, Garrison Hogan, Braxton DeWeese, Josh Kosick rounds out the top 15, Hunter Smith, Matthew Weeks, Jay Kaner, Joe Francis, and Trey Ides in the top 20. Chris, why don't you take us through the end of the field?
Yeah, starting 21st, we got Michael Hosick, Gerald Campbell right behind him, Jesse Racines, Vincent Isabella, Jamie Haley rounding out the top 25. Then we got Andrew Hardcastle, Jacob Adams, Kanyon Jones, Johnny Thomas, Tyler Pop. That's going to take you through the top 30. We got Brandon Ultra, Jess Story, Richard Hines, and Jaden Racines rounding out the top 34. Those are the cars that took time. Then the cars that did not get a time, Jaden Racines, Latham Joyner, Joshua Adams, Trey Holmes, Josh Robin, Harrison Talon, and Josh Smith.
That is our 40-car field here tonight, as we are getting set to unleash the power of the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series. And of course, once again in this series, Chris and I will be taking on race control duties. So you might hear us talking a little bit extra about some incidents, trying to figure out what in the world is going on. So that is something just to keep an eye on as we get set to go here tonight.
And there is a problem with the session already tonight.
And what's that, Chris?
They got one faster pair.
All right. So Chad making his mistakes.
They are not allowed to use it, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just more for us to do as we're getting ready to go green here. And I'll take Ethan Stanley, by the way, for the win.
I'm going to go David Tooker. This is his home track as we are about to go green. Three, two, one, green flag in the air. Already it is David Tooker and Ethan Stanley duking it out for that top spot. We're going to have to keep an eye throughout the field, throughout the evening, just make sure that we don't have any major stack-ups as we come up the hill portion of the racetrack. Looks like we are A-okay thus far.
Looks like everybody got through turn 1, turn 2 clean.
Couple cars off the racetrack. They do rejoin without too much of an issue. Brandon Ultra, Andrew Sandcastle, Andrew Hardcastle. Okay, yeah, that was close. Did you see that one, Chris? That was nearly catastrophic.
I did not see it on here at all.
Hardcastle was rejoining ahead of the field, and they nearly came together.
Oh, we got the 25 around here in the S's. He is off to the left.
So take a look. Seth Rawls does pull extra wide on the race course, giving us an opportunity to keep it green.
He's going to blend back at speed. Wow, right there on the outside of...
Nearly into Joshua Robin.
I think they did make some contact.
Robin able to gather it back up. He'll join the tail of the field.
And there are some new schemes out here tonight that we got Josh Adams in a new scheme. We've got Jacob Adams in a new scheme. Both just hoping to survive.
Very nice Mountain Dew scheme on that Jacob Adams machine. First time I've seen that car. Josh Adams running a Canes car.
That's a good-looking hot rod there. I know he was
Chris,
not expecting to do a whole lot with it tonight, though.
I just saw an incident there just about with Jesse Racimus, or Jaden Racimus, and Brandon Ultra. Ultra able to gather it back up. He has rejoined the tail of the field.
Oh, Jacob Adams is around with help from the 13, and the 13's around with help from the 56.
Tyler Pop off the racetrack. He's going to continue on. That could have been a bit of a mess.
I think what happened there is the 13 got into the back of the 52 and turned the 52. Josh saw his brother get turned, and then he really didn't try to avoid turning the 13 to put him over there too.
Matthew Weeks just picked up a 4X on the racetrack. He's able to continue on. Jamie Haley, Latham Joyner with incidents as well. See some swapping of positions back here as we see off on the left side. I do believe that to be Jaden Racimus. Yes, it is. Racimus off on the left. 53 laps to go here. 2 laps in. Back up front, it is David Tooker leading the way over Ethan Stanley.
And is that a new look for Matthew Weeks as well?
I do believe that is a new paint scheme for Matthew Weeks. Justin Vandermarl, the primary sponsor on that machine. JV Designs. That's a nice one. Let's get jippy with it out here in that number 11. JV Designs. Beautiful piece for Matthew Weeks and Pro Edge Racing. Racimus just had an incident. Jaden Racimus, that is.
Oh, Gerald Campbell is spinning in the S's. He might save it. He's going to save it. What a save.
Gerald does a nice job. Oh, that was close. He almost got into the 82 of Vincent Isabella. Harrison Talon had an incident towards the rear. This is going to be one of those races where we jump around a lot, just because there's going to be so much action going on. The 2 out front are the 2 I expected to be out front, if I'm honest with you, Chris. David and Ethan are both exceptional road course racers, and without R.C. Enerson being here, those are the only 2 I really expected to be true contenders tonight. Tate Lido, Kean Raleigh, both very respectable road racers as well. Jonathan Cutlip, Tyler Fody. Not so sure about Justin Fuller. Haven't seen Fuller.
Oh, Jess Story is around.
Story, he went way off. Jess was not looking forward to this event one bit here tonight, Chris. He is going to have a gap ahead of... Oh, my gosh. He has a gap ahead of Richard Hines there to rejoin, so he is able to rejoin. One thing that I'm going to point out here, you guys don't see this, but I do behind the scenes. I'm using a program because I'm also running race control, which shows me kind of where everyone is on the track. But for some reason, it doesn't have a Sonoma layout, so it's just a big circle, which it's a bit of a pain. Just so you're aware, Chris, of what I'm seeing over here. Jacob Adams with a 1X incident. He goes off track. He's going to rejoin without too much of an issue. That does drop him all the way to, I believe that is position number 36. So a big drop through the field and issues for multiple Mountain Man drivers over the last couple of laps. Josh Smith has an off-track moment of his own. Now he's under pressure from Brandon Ultra. Ultra to the inside of Smith. Smith falls back in position. That is the battle for position 32 and 33. Garrison Hogan also had a brief moment there. I'm now seeing Vincent Isabella. He went off track, able to rejoin as well. We're 4 laps in, 51 to go. He's side by side with Johnny Thomas. Thomas able to sneak through, and he'll continue on. That is position 24 that Johnny Thomas just took over from Vincent Isabella.
Yeah, we're getting more and more strung out every lap now, getting away from the craziness and seeing some guys, try to get into a rhythm here.
Which is nice that we're able to get strung out, not have to focus so much on potential issues. Let's jump back up here to David Tooker and Ethan Stanley. They remain nose to tail. Vincent Isabella, again, just had an off-track moment. He's back on. We're going to see those all throughout the event tonight. Trey Holmes had a moment there of his own. He goes off track. He rejoins. You're going to see drivers face a furled black flag numerous times here tonight. All that means, Chris, is that they're being told, hey, you cut the track limits, get back on track, and you'll be fine. Tucker leads here on lap number 6 as we continue to see drivers go quicker and quicker throughout the event. Now, Chris, obviously, looking at a race such as Sonoma here tonight, it's a little bit different than what we might be typically used to with the oval side of things. What can these drivers expect throughout the event based off of your road course experience?
You can expect a lot of craziness. This is a high fall off road course. Probably the most high wear we're going to see on a road course, any road course we go. It's very slick out here, and you're going to lose, after 5-6 laps, you're going to lose about a second of speed. So this is one more so than the others that's more about surviving. Watkins Glen seems to be better as you go. You get more heat in the tires. It's got that fresher pavement. And these guys, I mean, they could short pit here pretty quick if they wanted to. The pit window is about 35 to 40 laps. So, but you're going to want to go further than that. We might see some guys two-stop it because of the fall-off as well.
So now you're saying 35 to 40 laps is just Story has another off-track adventure. He rejoins behind Harrison Talon. Talon with the wrong number on his machine, but that's all right as he rejoins. But you mentioned 35 to 40. Now, this is a 55-lap race, Chris. Are you still going to try to do that 35-40 as we do see Josh Smith head pit side?
It depends on where I'm running, how much I'm able to take. If I'm running up at the front, I'm going to one-stop it, probably about the middle of the race. If I'm running just behind those guys, maybe in that 5th to 15th range, I might try to two-stop it. I might try to pit at lap 15 and lap 30 or something in that neighborhood, maybe 20 and 40, something like that. Try to do something that those guys in front. But, and if I'm in the back, man, if I'm in the back, I might just pit, use all the tires I got, just try to survive.
It's definitely going to be interesting to keep an eye on the strategies throughout this race. Of course, when you look at the racetrack, David Tucker, Ethan Stanley, they have a 3-second lead over Tate Lytle, and 9th place Chad Frankenfield is already 10 seconds back. That's a huge gap. You have to do whatever you can strategy-wise to try to work your way up there, because realistically, knock on wood, hopefully, we're not going to have any yellows in this race.
Yeah, I feel like our best shot for a yellow was there in the first 2 or 3 laps. Not saying we can't get one at this point.
We definitely can, especially considering the fact that these leaders will catch lap traffic shortly. Jaden Racimus has come to a stop. He's going to tow back to pit lane. He went nose first into the tire barrier. But as the leaders do catch lap traffic, they're about a quarter of a lap back from Richard Hines at this point. That it would be the first car to go a lap down aside from those on pit road. That's where you might see some issues as well, just considering the fact that Tucker, Stanley, and the others are substantially quicker than the guys running towards the rear of the field. Not saying that those guys aren't good road course racers or anything like that, because you're racing against some of the best here.
Yeah, I remember a time in Elite where if you just survived the day, you didn't have to have really good speed, you could finish 10th.
Absolutely.
But now looking here, you know, Chad Frankenfield's a good road racer, running, you know, back in 8th. Ethan Burrell, Norgard, Scott Crum.
I mean, you look at guys outside the top 10. Garrison Hogan's not a half bad road racer. Matthew Weeks, Michael Hossack, I would consider fairly decent on the road courses. Joe Francis, another one I believe is fairly decent on road courses. Seth Rawls, Johnny Thomas, I think is respectable on the road courses. And you go back, Conan Jones, guys like that. They're well outside the top 10, but you look at someone like David Tucker. Tucker has a lot of experience in the real world at this specific racetrack. He's done countless laps at Sonoma in his MX-5 Mazda, and that definitely gives him a lot of experience.
Yeah, these races used to be wild cards. Now, not so much. I mean, there's just
if you were to throw RC in here, RC Enerson, I think that might change things a little bit. I think you would have a 3-dog race, but you can always expect David Tooker, Ethan Stanley, and potentially R.C. Enerson to be out front here on these road courses.
And Tate's not far behind. Fode's up there right now. I know he's about 8 seconds behind, but he just moved into 5th.
Even Kian,
very interesting.
Like Kian, you don't know very well, but I've had the opportunity to be Kian's teammate in the past with Shift Esports, and he's a very well-rounded driver. Josh Kosick has a moment. He's able to rejoin coming up the S portion of this racetrack. He's going to rejoin behind Trey Eidson. Vincent Isabella just had a moment of his own. So we have a couple guys just brief off tracks here. That's one thing about Sonoma, Chris, is the track itself might not be overly wide, but the surroundings give a lot of opportunity for these incidents to wash off the racetrack.
Yeah, there's a lot of room, lots of runoff room, lots of different, areas where we've already seen a couple guys spin.
We're side by side for the lead, though, Chris. Sorry to interrupt. As Ethan Stanley takes a dive to the right side of Tooker. Now they go back single file. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Race for the lead, obviously, is way more important than me talking about, how much runoff there is out here.
Jaden Racimus is coming back onto the racetrack. He has not taken a fast repair. I can tell because, well, he's missing the whole front end of that car. So he's going to come out for laps. But this is where it might get interesting, Chris. Because Racimus has joined in the pack, he has struggled so far tonight, and now he has an opportunity to maybe have an incident around some of the other drivers on the track. But I think for his own sake, he's just out here trying to do laps, learn what he can do for future road courses, and I definitely commend him for that.
Yeah, and we had a lead change there. Ethan Stanley did go ahead and make the pass on David Tooker.
Yeah, Stanley took a dive to the, I believe is on the outside of David Tooker, able to get there. We do have a change for position a little further back as well. Chad Frankenfield has worked his way up into position number 8. Was able to get by Ethan Burrell on the last lap. Burrell back to 9th. Scott Crump into 10th. So actually, sorry, the change was Crump up into the top 10, got by Norgard. Norgard slides to the inside of Scott Crump. I sounded like a pirate there. I promise I'm not. I'm not here to take your loot, as Norgard nearly wiped out the Scott Crump machine.
And one thing here we haven't talked about yet, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it. I don't see any do-good cars out here tonight, really. None of them guys chose to show up here.
No
Not sure
Goodman
what
here
here
tonight. No Jeff Green. No David Carpenter. None of those guys here. Trey Holmes just had a brief off track. He's going to gather it back up just ahead of Kynan Jones as Tyler pops off to the inside of Jones there. One thing to point out is our leader, Ethan Stanley, and David Tooker have overtaken.
And Jones just spun down here. He's getting back on.
Kynan Jones able to gather it back up behind his teammate, Jacob Adams. As I was pointing out, the leaders have overtaken the 87 machine. That is Richard Hines. Hines now finds himself a lap down. Jaden Racimus just had a moment on the racetrack. He's able to gather it back up well off of the racing surface. I believe Trey Holmes also had an issue. He's able to continue on as well. So that's always a positive when these guys are able to continue on. Looks like we have a battle heating up for third. It's Tate Lytle and Kian Raleigh. First time we've looked at these gentlemen tonight, as Latham Joyner has a moment towards the rear of the field. He goes off the track, now rejoins. Trey Holmes has opted to pull it into the pits after
and Tate,
a couple
once again,
incidents.
driving that Kevin Harvick throwback there. Kevin Harvick in his retirement season.
That's right. Of course, Tate Lytle driving the number 2 Days Gone By machine. I want to give a shout out to Brent Wentz. Picked up an Xfinity Series victory this weekend as a spotter, spotting for Sam Mayer in Junior Motorsports. Junior, of course, owned by Dale Jr., a former driver here in the Elite Racing League as well.
Yeah, that Xfinity race was something else. Justin Allgaier should have about 8 wins this season, but Justin Allgaier is his own worst enemy, kind of like Denny Hamlin in the Cup Series.
Justin Allgaier's always kind of had almost a love-hate relationship with the road courses. I believe his first win came on a road course.
Well, he had him covered there on Saturday and threw it away. So,
yeah, you know, another driver that's probably gonna start hating Road America, Sage Karam, as Justin Fuller pulls into pit road. Sage Karam was leading the race late.
Oh, they're gonna get it going. The 35.
Wow.
The 9 started to spin. The 35 hit him, straightened it back out. Everybody's good.
That could have been our first yellow of the day. That was close. Fuller is up on jack stands. They are going to swap those tires out, get them back on the racetrack. But Sage Karam at Road America this weekend, last time out, of course, got wrecked by Noah Gragson, if you remember that incident. And then this year was leading late, ended up in the dirt with some heavy damage. I believe he came home in position number 4. So a very strong result for Sage Karam there at Road America, but still got to be disappointed with that. Because I believe that's Kynan Jones with a bit of a blink. No, it's not. Maybe Vincent Isabella? Either way, able to continue on.
Yeah, right now I'm watching this 25, the 4. We got the 35, Joe Francis back there driving his barbecue chips machine.
Who is the 4 machine, Chris? That is actually the 30 of Josh Kosick. So he has a number 4 on the side of his car. I guess that's something that'll have to get fixed up heading into next week.
Jay just really missed the corner and almost got into the back of the 35 there.
Oh, Jay Kaner around.
And there he is around. He's going to get it back righted.
I want to give Jay absolute credit for what he just did right there. He could have turned back onto the racing surface, as some drivers would do, but he was able to continue on and not block the racetrack. So shout out to Jay Kaner for that. One car
starting to struggle here too is the 37. I might pit here if I'm Ethan. I might pit right here.
Gerald Campbell coming pit side. Just a quick update there. The 31 of Campbell has taken it to pit road. Yeah, Ethan Burrell, he's losing a couple positions bit by bit. It looks like maybe the tires starting to go off a little bit. The thing with Sonoma and road courses in general, if you overdrive the corners and go into heavy brake mode, you can really, really wear out those tires.
I think Gerald's just two-stopping. He's leaving pit road now after a change of tires.
Ethan Burrell does opt to stay on the racetrack. Chris will go back. Ooh, this is interesting.
Trey Holmes has left.
Trey Holmes did come down pit road a lot earlier. One thing to point out, David Tooker, he's falling. He is getting closer and closer to Tate Lytle and Kean Raleigh. Tooker was the leader. Now,
Harrison Talon is spun around. He's getting back going. Lots of damage on the DoorDash machine, though.
Yeah, he's going to have to deliver that to pit road and hope that they can get that car fixed up. But Tooker has fallen now 1.7 seconds back.
Tooker's been into something. Look at that. Do you see the damage on the left side of Tooker's machine?
We'll take a look.
Something's happened and we missed it.
Left front damage on the David Tooker machine. Maybe clipped a tire barrier? He probably
on the right side, right? If he hit those tires.
No, I'm thinking he probably went wide in one of those late corners, Chris, heading towards the hairpin. That's an easy section for these drivers to go off. Jeff Story has taken it to pit road. He's going to write a new chapter in this race. That number 29 machine. Get some tires.
I'm going to find it here and see what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Greatly appreciate your investigative work here, Chris. Brandon Ultra had a moment.
Lap 15 up in turn 4. He went too far wide and hit out there where they use all the runoff and blend back before they go down to the heavy brake zone. He hit the wall right there.
Now, speaking of heavy braking there, We just saw a lot of tire smoke out of Justin Fuller's machine. That is the 51, the Daytona winner last week. Currently running in position number 18.
Lost the spot to Tate. He's going to try to fight the 68. That wall hit has killed the David Tooker machine.
Yeah, Tooker falling back. You could see Kean Raleigh just behind him. Gerald Campbell also entering the picture. Campbell, of course, is a few laps down. Josh Kozik, he went off the racetrack, joins behind Joe Francis, the barbecue chip machine.
And Tooker's coming to pit road right here.
Still on the racetrack, and as you mentioned, David Tooker, he nearly wrecked it on pit road.
I think he's pretty frustrated with himself because that happened when he was running right there with the leader. He was still right there, hit that wall, and I knocked all the speed out of the car.
It's got to be frustrating. It has to be frustrating for David Tooker. One of the favorites easily to take this event. Brandon Ultra, he has an off-track moment ahead of Jacob Adams. He's able to continue on. Tooker now falling through the field. He gets to his pit box. They're going to get that car jacked up and fixed. Michael Hossack goes around in the hairpin. He gets his car sorted. He's going to continue on. Tyler Popp, he is around on the racetrack, and he will continue on as well. So we're going to stay green.
I hate to call something out, but I think Tooker might have just used his fast repair.
It does look like he may have his pit time 14.87 seconds. Yeah, he may have used his fast repair there, Chris.
It definitely, the damage is completely gone, for sure.
We will take a quick commercial break here. When we come back, we will have continued coverage of the Sonoma 110 here on the Elite Racing Network. Don't go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com. Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here at Sonoma in the Sonoma 110. We apologize for the extended delay there. We are on lap 22 out of 55. A penalty has just been assessed to David Tooker. A pass through, unfortunately, for using the fast repair that they were not to use here tonight. So we will go ahead and have David Tooker do a pass-through penalty, come back around onto the racetrack, and continue on. Just unfortunate there. It was a clear rule, though, Chris. Unfortunately, that was not followed.
Yeah, I have a feeling after this race, we're going to have something set in stone for what happens if this were to happen again. Hate to see it, though. Hate that I was the one that called it out and brought it to the attention, but everybody's got to stay in the same box and everybody's got the same rules to follow. So
David Tooker completes his penalty, comes back onto the racetrack, and continues on. Ethan Stanley is your race leader, and as you heard on the last break, we did hear from our friends at TA Services as well as iRacing.com. TA Services, one of our premier partners here in the Elite Racing League. Thank you to them for their great support all season long, as well as Worldwide Technology Raceway, home to a 1.25-mile oval, 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. And, of course, Rebilas Photography, RebilasPhoto.com for all your photography needs. Let Mark Rebilas know that the Elite Racing Network sent you. Now, one thing to point out, Chris, that penalty has pushed David Tooker back to position 18, well out of contention for tonight's race. Nearly a one-lap
Jacob
penalty.
Adams is round.
As Jake does go around well off the racing surface, he's going to get that car spun back around. He's going to rejoin the field ahead of Tyler Pop as Pop comes back to the rear end of the Jacob Adams machine, and they will continue on. Conan Jones, he has headed to pit road for some attention from his pit crew. Cossack of the Josh variety, of course, had an incident there. Jaden Racimus being showed the furled up black flag. He's going to take a joker lap here and continue on with a bit of excessive damage on that machine. At some point, Brandon Ultra around again. Ultra not having the best of nights tonight. And just to point out, we're getting thinner and thinner.
Yeah, Brandon Ultra has also just spun around here.
Yeah, we did just watch Brandon Ultra spin just moments ago, Chris.
I think he spun again. He spun again.
He's going straight. He's all right. Ethan Stanley leads by 2.8 seconds over Tate Lytle and Kian Raleigh. Those drivers trying to chase down the leader, Stanley. Tyler Fody in fourth. Chad Frankenfield in fifth. Frankenfield with some left side damage, Chris. Not sure if you noticed that on his machine. Looks like fairly similar to what David Tooker had on his number 19 machine. Chris?
Yeah, he's got some some damage. I wonder if it's hurting as bad as Tooker.
Yeah, Tooker's
We shall
definitely
see.
played a part there. Brandon Ultra. Oh, Ultra hard into the wall. That may bring an end to the evening for the number 45 machine as he toes to pit road. So Brandon Ultra done for the night, pending any repairs, of course. Just taking a look. Looks like we're about to be less than 20 cars on the lead lap here.
And Ultra. Bad night for Ultra. He's now left the session.
Yeah, Chris, he hit that wall a ton as Ethan Burrell moves by Vincent Isabella towards the tail of the field. 25 down, 31 to go.
And we should be seeing everyone pit here shortly, I think. We're closing in on halfway. I think everybody's going to pit. I don't think they're going to run very far. Very much further.
I don't think so either. Let's keep our eyes on that Tate Lytle Kean Raleigh battle as it does heat up for that second place position.
Yeah, quite the battle. The 68's been all over Tate for quite some time.
Kean Raleigh, he's had a very respectable start to his elite career, picking up the win, of course, in the Pit Pass Network ARCA Series at Watkins Glen. So a road course victory here in Elite already for Kean Raleigh. Pretty strong fashion as well. Now he's doing battle with Tate Lytle. These drivers have battled against each other and together before as teammates and opponents. So this is an opportunity for these drivers to refamiliarize themselves with one another and continue on here battling for second. They have about a 7-second gap over Tyler Fody, so no real pressure out rear. And I think Fody's in probably the best spot right now. I mean, aside from the leader. Fody has 10 seconds behind and 7 seconds out front, so he's kind of doing his own things. Actually, he has a couple lap cars not too far behind him. Josh Cossack and Gerald Campbell as Kynan Jones and Latham Joyner both grabbing 4Xs there just a moment ago, able to continue on.
I'm very curious to see if these second place looks like it's changing hands.
Josh Cossack gets very, very wildly loose as Kean Raleigh moves up into position number 2. Tate Lytle pulls pit side.
Yeah, Tate seen that as the opportunity to get back in front of the car he just lost the spot to by coming to get fresh tires at least one lap earlier.
Ethan Stanley still out on the racing surface. Nearly 5 seconds is the lead over Kean Raleigh. Tyler Fody, 10 seconds back. Jacob Adams has a brief moment there. He comes to a slow.
We got pitters. The 77's going to try to pass the 13 on pit entry.
Wow.
And do so.
That is what the scientific term is, ballsy right there. That was... I've never seen that before, Chris.
That was, like, insane. But the 13 gave him room. He had the room, you know. 13 was just kind of grandpa in that pit entry, I guess. And 77 said, here, look, you can go a little bit faster.
Kynan Jones well off the racing surface as he gets passed by, I believe that was Josh Cossack. Jesse Racimus with a moment there. He goes into the wall, able to rejoin just barely ahead of the leader. As actually he's going to go back to the dirt and crab walk his way back onto the racetrack into pit road. So we're going to stay green. Chris, we always try to keep these races green when we can. As Kean Raleigh comes down pit road, he's not going to do any battles coming down as he is in a bit of a world of his own there in second.
Yeah, he had to answer Tate Lytle. I guess he felt like trying to race for that second spot, third spot, whatever position they're going to end up racing for here towards the end. Here comes Cutlip, I believe, down pit road.
John Cutlip, Seth Rawls, the Rocket Man, they're both coming down pit road. I believe I saw another driver from, as we see Jacob Adams also on pit road. That was the next driver to come down pit road. We'll keep our eyes peeled for the likes of Ethan Stanley, Tyler Fode, Hunter Smith, Chad Frankeville, Scott Crump, Leighton Norgard, Garrison Hogan, and Braxton Deweese, as Justin Fuller goes far off the racetrack.
This was our 10th place driver, too.
That is definitely a big one. The unit's number 51 machine of Fuller. He's got 55 on the door.
Man, he just touched the grass there in the race.
That's all you need, though, Chris. You grab the grass at all, and you're going to go. Or I guess in this case, the dirt. As Ethan Stanley's on pit road, the leader. Stanley.
Oh, Jamie Haley just wrecked right here in turn 11.
Haley well off of the racing line, able to get that number 02 machine spun back around. Kynan Jones hits the wall behind. All I'm seeing is a team owner right there, Chris, as the dollar bills racking up. Thank gosh that there's no actual bills involved with this, as two of my cars ended up in the wall there. Stanley on pit road, Norgard, Braxton Deweese, and Matthew Weeks all up to come down pit road.
Scott Crump trying to pass Chad Frankenfield for...
Let's keep an eye on this one, because this is always an interesting battle, Chris. You know that, and so do I. Anytime these two are together...
right behind them, too. Even though they're lap cars, new tires.
That's exactly right. Johnny Thomas and Joshua Adams just behind them. Just want to do a bit of cross-promoting here. Want to shout out Erska, which is the league run by Johnny Thomas. Tonight, their championship final is at the Homestead Miami Speedway. So if you want to check that out following tonight's broadcast, head on over to 3 Wide TV here on YouTube and just let them know the Elite Racing Network sent you. Cheer on the drivers. Absolutely. Cheer on the drivers here from Elite. Many of them will be there. So be sure to check that out. Kynan Jones in the wall again on the other side of the pit wall there. Jesse and Jaden Racimas both having incidents on the same lap. Jesse goes for a bit of a drift. Jaden able to get his car back going again. Kynan with a moment. He goes off track now, re-enters. I believe he is just ahead of Ethan Stanley. Yes, he is. Ethan Stanley goes to the right side of Kynan Jones. Jones slow up through the S's. He's going to get going once again. Vincent Isabella had a brief moment. He's going to come pit side, get his car fixed up, get some tires back on that machine. Johnny Thomas had an off-track moment. Josh Adams able to get back in line as well. Garrison Hogan comes off of pit road. Joe Francis, Vincent Isabella, Jay Kaner all pit side. Tyler Fode and Hunter Smith are the only two yet to pit here, Chris. And as I say that, Tyler Fode, he comes pit side, and I believe Hunter Smith may follow. Yes, he does. So that will complete.
Oh, we got a wreck down here right in front of Ethan Stanley. Wow, the Ford just did a 360, got her back righted right in front of Stanley.
Oh, Josh Kozik went around, able to gather it back up, and he will continue on. Wow.
Incredible.
That was scary.
If it was scary for us, imagine what it was like for Ethan Stanley.
Absolutely. So now as we finish up the pit cycle, your top four as they run, Ethan Stanley leading by 1.7 seconds over Kian Raleigh, 3.6 over Tate Lytle, and 4.9 over David Tooker. So Tooker served a pass-through penalty earlier tonight. Actually came to a stop, so he did a stop and go rather than a pass-through, and is now running in position number 4.
Yeah, but he had way fresher tires too, so he's going to lose some of this ground back on older tires.
100%. As Tyler Fode looks to the inside of Jesse Racimas, he's able to get by as everyone continues through. Ethan Stanley up to the tail of Joshua Adams, looking to put Adams a lap down here. Josh
Gonna pull out
Kozik
for
with
him,
another
turn 11.
moment. He goes off track. He's back on. Stanley dives to the inside of Josh Adams, and he should assume the race lead officially this time by with 24 laps to go.
I'm going to tell you, that 30 needs some tires. He's going to come get some. Oh, he's wrecking on pit entry here. Oh, the 30's got pit entry blocked.
Kozik does tow. We were mere moments, Chris, from potentially having to throw a caution flag right there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was watching. I was like, man, we might have to throw the other place.
I was 2 seconds away. My mouse was hovering over that deploy safety car button.
Yeah, even though most everybody has pitted, there's still some guys out here, I'm sure, who have yet to pit and can't pit when it's blocked.
It reminded me of, what's that movie I'm thinking of where he gets the cart stuck between two walls, has to back up and go forward and back up, do like an 80,000 point turn.
Austin Powers?
Yeah. What was it, Gold Number or something?
I can't remember which one
I believe, yeah. That's kind of what it looked like with Josh Kozik, sideways on pit entry there. Glad he was able to tow. Glad he thought enough to tow. Sometimes drivers would just be like, yeah, I'm going to try to get my car going forward. But he didn't. So that is definitely appreciated of the Josh Kozik machine. One thing about Kozik is I don't think he's actually hit anything tonight. He's just gone around a bunch of times in the dirt.
Yeah, he was really desperately in need of some tires there. And he was trying to come get some and just didn't quite get to pit road.
He was trying to get them a little too quick as Ethan Stanley comes up to a battle ahead of him. That is Gerald Campbell and Johnny Thomas duking it out for position number 21 on the racetrack. Stanley able to get on by. He leads by 1.5 seconds over Kian Raleigh, 4.6 over Tate Lytle, 7.3 over David Tucker, and 16.5 over Tyler Fody. And Fody has 8 seconds over Hunter Smith in position number 6. And it looks like Harrison Talon. I don't know how this just happened, Chris, but Harrison Talon just got a 1X while sitting on pit road. If anyone can do it, I guess it's Harry.
I guess.
As you see,
I'm curious
Vincent
if we're going to see any
Isabella.
two-stoppers, because we're about in the window now for guys who are going to make that second stop. Basically, the guys who started this pit road cycle. So I'm looking at a guy like David Tucker, maybe to make a second stop. Who else pitted at the front
So
of the
Tucker did top up when he came down pit road.
Well, it wouldn't be for fuel. When he
Or
pitted,
actually, no, he
could've made it to
wouldn't.
the
He
end
wouldn't.
for fuel.
He didn't top up. Never mind. He did a stop in his box. Latham Joyner just had a moment. Whoa! Wow. Chris, if you haven't seen what just happened to Latham Joyner, please rewind that on your replay. Oh my gosh. Latham Joyner got air twice right there.
Latham has not had a great night. He's been struggling, just trying to get to the end and survive.
Wow. That's just hilarious. Wow. Let's take a look through the field, see who's running where. Out front, it is Ethan Stanley leading over Kian Raleigh. Tate Lytle in third. David Tucker back there in fourth. Tyler Fody way back in fifth. Hunter Smith in sixth. Chad Frankenfield, he's kicking the tires in position number 7. Ethan Burrell just behind him in 8th. Jonathan Cutlip under fire in position number 9 ahead of Scott Crump. Leighton Norgard in position number 11 ahead of the 12th place Seth Rawls. 13th is where we find Garrison Hogan. Braxton Deweese in 14th. Trey Eidson in position 15. Last season's Cup champion Matthew Weeks in 16th. Our season open winner, Justin Fuller, there in 17th. Michael Hosick in 18th. Joe Francis trying to get by him in 19th. Vincent Isabella 20th. Johnny Thomas 21st. Jay Kaner 21st. Gerald Campbell 23rd. Kaner 22nd. Josh Adams 24th. Jesse Racimas 25th. Jacob Adams 26th. Jamie Haley in his Mountain Man Motorsports debut in 27th. Cotton Jones 28th. Richard Hines 29th. Latham Joyner in 30th, and I believe the last car running on the racetrack. Josh Kosick in 31st. Jaden Racimus in 32nd. That is your field with 21 to go in the Sonoma 110.
Yeah, and I think Josh is done there. He's sitting on pit road.
Yeah, Kosick. I think Kosick called it a night. So we have a big lockup just behind Ethan Stanley. That was Vincent Isabella as he was allowing Kean Raleigh to go on by. And Raleigh trying to work his way up. We're going to actually jump back to a battle we have a little bit further back in the field. Scott Crump and Jonathan Cutlip duking it out for position number 9. Crump currently holding the spot over Cutlip. Cutlip trying to get up to pass him here with just 20 to go. Ethan Burrell all over the rear end of Jesse Racimus. They're able to continue on without any issues there. As this has been a fairly good race so far, Chris. I mean, for road course standards, of course, 2.5 second lead. That might not scream excitement to you, but the fact that these drivers, for the most part, have been able to remain in this race, that's pretty darn good. Jaden Racimus just had an issue.
And anything can happen. You know, it doesn't matter how big the lead is. Ethan Stanley lost the road race last year by dropping out on the last lap, having a connection issue. And a second and a half is nothing, you know, if he gets caught up with the lap car. We saw a little bit of damage to Tooker, and that car was pretty hurt.
That's exactly it. All it takes is hitting maybe a little bit of a sand trap, getting a little bit too far to the left, getting the wall, maybe even a little too far right in the hairpin, clipping one of those tire barriers, which, Chris, we've seen. We saw that in the Cup Series last season with Scott Crump. And that completely took Crump out of his. Jamie Haley has a brief moment there. He's able to continue on. Chad Frankenfield with an issue. Frankenfield goes for a complete spin there. He has heavy damage.
Oh, yeah, there's no hood on that thing. Wow.
Chad Frankenfield missing his hood. Gerald Campbell goes drifting. Kynan Jones also going for a drift on the racetrack.
Chad he hit that wall pretty hard.
Wow. That was what we call a moment right there for Chad Frankenfield. Jamie Haley. Jamie just did exactly what Chad just did, Chris.
Yeah.
He's missing the hood.
I believe I'm gonna do this for our good buddy Nick Massey. There might be fluid over there in turn 10. He's all the time talking about fluid on iRacing. I think we found it. It's all in turn 10 at Sonoma.
Absolutely. And speaking of fluid on the track, Chris, did you see the recent developer notes on iRacing?
I did not.
It looks like it might get a little bit moist out there soon. Talking about the rain getting released in the near future.
Yeah. I don't know, man. These guys struggle enough, and I struggle enough as a driver, not just these guys. Like, when I'm in a road race, too, I'm struggling. I'm not anywhere near some of these guys up at the front, so last thing I want is to see some rain out there and take away even more grip.
I think I'm one of the few people in this league that actually has experience racing in the rain on an oval, using racing slicks. That's wild. Just so you know, that is absolutely wild.
Yeah, we'll see.
I remember.
I do know this, though, 100%. Chad will find a way to have one road race each season in these series with some rain.
So we were doing what's called an enduro, and I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about. Leighton Norgard just had an issue here. He continues on. But an enduro, basically, you just run whatever you want, really, and just go out there and see if your car will last. And, sometimes if you crash, they'll just keep your car on the racetrack as a bit of an obstacle, which is wild. But we did a race in the rain. I just got a nice set of racing slicks, put those on, expecting to race in the dry. Didn't race in the dry. It started raining. My windshield wiper didn't work on the car, so was kind of blind as it was. And a car came to a stop entering turn 3. Couldn't see him until I was right in his trunk. And guess what happened when I hit him, Chris?
Not good things, I assume.
The windshield wiper started to work. The wiper started to work, but the radiator decided that it didn't want to hold on to fluid anymore, dumped all the fluid onto my front tires, and around I went facing the wrong direction. Was
That's not ideal.
Not ideal whatsoever. Richard Hines comes down pit road. Jaden Racines is on pit road as well. We should be seeing the final pit stops here very, very shortly from these drivers if they're opting to do 2 stops.
Yeah, I would think if you were going to do 2 stops, you would already have pitted at this point.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if they are doing 2, they're going to... Oh, no. Ethan Stanley just had a big blink there. That wasn't very good, Chris. Kean Raleigh had an off-track moment right there.
Doug, we are not going to put this voodoo on Ethan Stanley. All right?
No, we're not putting any. We're not putting no voodoo on nobody. As Frankenfield and Cutlip swap spots, Frankenfield and his hoodless machine able to slide on by. Heck, last night at the Cornwall Motor Speedway, where I do some announcing, we had a couple drivers get together in our pro stock class, which is like a street stock. Came together. One of the drivers ended up driving away from the incident, gets down the back straightaway, and his hood went flying down the racetrack. So he had a nice weight reduction, and so does Chad Frankfield as he's trying to catch Ethan Burrell and Hunter Smith not too far ahead of him. Or Scott Crump and Ethan Burrell, I should say.
Taking a look here, it looks like it's gotten calmed down a little bit out here.
The field's pretty spread out, aside from those drivers behind Ethan Burrell.
This is the point in the race, though, where you start making those mental mistakes. You mess up one corner, brake too late, get it spun around, something happens. Like, this is the point in the race where you're ready to be done. You're like, how much longer to go? You still see 15 laps, and you're like, oh, Lord, we still got 25 minutes left in this race. Like,
Trey Eidson has a moment there. He's sliding. He is able to gather his machine up behind Jesse Racines. And the 27 of Braxton DeWeese. DeWeese, of course, running with Shift Esports this season. Jacob Adams, he's going to do a bit of drifting, able to gather it back up. He's going to rejoin the field behind his teammate, Kynan Jones. Actually, just ahead of Kynan Jones and Jamie Haley. Mountain Man Motorsports not having the greatest of nights tonight, Chris.
yeah, but it's a road course race, right?
And you have a drop week. You got a drop week. All I said to these guys heading into tonight's race, I said, just show up. That's all you got to do. Just show up to the race. You know, put some laps in. Every lap on a road course helps for the future. It's going to give you more and more confidence, more and more experience. As Michael Hosick goes way off in the uphill portion of the racetrack, he's able to rejoin on the right-hand side. Here comes Kynan Jones, Jamie Haley, and Jacob Adams. So these drivers all have experienced their fair share of issues tonight. Michael Hosick.
Right now, looking at the 85, the 02, and the 52, that's all your cars right there, right?
Yeah, 26th, 27th, 28th currently out on the racetrack. Josh Personette not here tonight. Neither is Cash James.
And if you like road racing in Elite, you love watching these guys go left and right instead of their typical ovals, well, guess what? There's a lot more of it coming up over the next week to 10 days here. We're going road racing in the...
We're going somewhere next week.
We're going to Dakota in the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series.
That's right.
Next Monday night. And
That's
I believe we have Watkins Glen. Is that our Cup Road Course race this year?
I believe week 3 of the Cup season will be at Watkins Glen. That's correct.
So a week from Wednesday. Wednesday we go to Fontana, and then we head up to Watkins Glen. So over the next week to 10 days...
We have a battle here, Chris.
It's going road racing.
Tooker and Fody battling for position number 4. 14
and
laps to go.
Fody to get this pretty easy, being way fresher tires.
Justin Fuller, Joshua Adams, he has a brief moment there. He's off the racetrack. He's going to be able to rejoin.
tried to block him a little bit there, tried to keep him behind him, and Fody did a little right front lockup, made the pass.
Fody should be able to pull away at this point now. But one thing to point out, Kian Raleigh, he's just got Jacob Adams between himself and the leader, Ethan Stanley. They're less than a second apart now.
Oh, Canes is out here doing some off-roading.
Yeah, Josh Adams, he's had a couple moments. John Cutlip.
Something's in turn 11 down here.
Cutlip able to continue on. We will stay green. The track wasn't blocked. They were able to continue on, which is what is the criteria to keep the racing green here, Chris, and that's exactly what we did.
Yep, little stack up there. If a couple more cars, one more car maybe gets involved and stopped over there, you might have to throw it, but
yeah, that's
each
exactly
incident tonight, it's kind of cleared up right about the time you'd be throwing it. So.
The thing with the hairpin is you do still have a lane to get by, as long as the car is not completely blocking the race, as we have something just happened there. Leighton Norgard, Garrison Hogan got together, both continue on. That was a 4X incident for both of those drivers. Looked like just some heavy contact. Nobody came to a stop. That's one thing I'm watching as well, Chris, when we see these incidents trigger. I'm watching the track map. So if I see multiple cars stopped, as we see...
Gerald Campbell in the S's.
Oh, Gerald!
He's going to gas it up and get off the track.
Gerald had a lot of room behind him as well. He actually probably could have gotten away without the gas up and go. But kudos to Gerald. He tried to keep the track clear for us, and that's what he did. So we are 12 to go, coming to 11. That means we are 43 laps in here already in the Sonoma 110.
Yeah, very interesting here to see what happens with the rest of this race.
One thing to watch, Kian Raleigh's gotten clear from the lap traffic. The only car ahead of him now is the leader, Ethan Stanley. He's going to try to close that gap here through the hairpin as Stanley gets set to head through multiple lap cars. Looks like Jamie Haley, Michael Hosick, and I'm not sure who that car is just ahead of the Hosick machine. That is Jaden Racimus. Conan Jones heads pit side. This is where Kian Raleigh could potentially gain a lot of time on the racetrack. It's going to be all about how Ethan gets through the lap traffic. Vincent Isabella has a moment on the racetrack. Latham goes off the racetrack once again. He rejoins just behind John Cutlip and just ahead of Joshua Adams and Justin Fuller. Vincent Isabella going to have to head pit side. He does have a meatball flag, meaning that he has some required repairs to take care of. Joyner did head pit side. Ethan Stanley and Kian Raleigh going to face 10 laps to go as they come around this time. They're just up on the rear bumper of Jamie Haley, and just ahead of him is Michael Hosick, the 19th place car. Vincent Isabella should head pit side this time in the number 82 machine, as we're just 10 laps to go here, Chris. And Vincent is sliding. He's able to gather it back up, and he takes a pit side. As you see, Ethan Stanley working his way through the back hill portion of the racetrack. Kian Raleigh trying to close down that gap. Looks like Ethan Stanley just a little bit better here, Chris.
Yeah, Ethan's pulling away a little bit right now, but they got two lap cars out in front of them. We got the 02, we got the 24.
That's always one thing to keep an eye on when you have lap cars such as Michael Hosick, such as Jamie Haley, just ahead of the race leaders. Haley trying to catch up to Hosick. They are not battling for position. So these drivers kind of already locked into where they're going to be at this point in the race. So all they need to do is let Ethan Stanley and Kian Raleigh go on by. You see Jamie Haley go all the way to the left, leave the entire racing surface to the leader, Ethan Stanley. Kian Raleigh has to do an evasive maneuver to get by Jamie Haley and Michael Hosick there. That was a little fishy. A little hairy.
Tate's not too far back, but I think he's too far back unless something happens.
Vincent Isabella did leave the server. He actually, unfortunately, took his auto clear of the damage there, the fast repair. So he's opted to leave the server by himself, not serve a penalty. So that is another retirement here tonight. The retirements are stacking up here. Joe Campbell had a brief moment. This gap, Chris, is shrinking. 0.6 of a second between Kian Raleigh and Ethan Stanley as Latham Joyner. He has a big moment. His left front tire looks to be almost broken on that machine as he went for a big jump. He's able to continue on. Wow. That was a little scary. Looking through the field, we just had a position swap. Trey Eidson jumps up to the 13th spot ahead of Garrison Hogan. Seth Rawls moves into the 9th spot ahead of Ethan Burrell. We've been keeping an eye on David Tooker ever since he served his penalty tonight. He now finds himself in position 5. Once Fody took over that spot, he was able to gain about 3 seconds over David Tooker, now running in 4th, 17 seconds back from the race leader. So it's Stanley out front by 0.7 over Kian Raleigh. Then it's 5 seconds ahead of Tate Lytle, 17 over Tyler Fody, 20 over David Tooker, 26 over Hunter Smith, 39 over Scott Crump, 43 over Chad Frankville, 45 on Seth Rawls, and 46 on Ethan Burrell. So 8th through 10th, all kind of together here, battling for position. But the rest of these spots have pulled away.
Look at this. The 68 is all over the back bumper of the 92 right now.
Kian's there. I think Kian's been saving a little bit here, Chris. We're going to have to keep an eye on Kian Raleigh and Ethan Stanley. Stanley knows how to play the games as well. Make you think that you have more than you do, and then just step on it and pull away. Because if you're noticing here, Tate Lytle also closing that gap a little bit on these leaders. Kian goes off the racetrack just a little bit wide. He's going to lose some time. He's going to have to gain it back here.
Not too much time, though.
No, 0.5. So not too bad for Kian Raleigh. So Ethan Stanley continuing to lead Kian Raleigh. Tate Lytle, we haven't talked about him in a long time. He's just quiet. He's hanging out in 3rd. He's got nobody around him, so he doesn't really have much to say. Tyler Fody ahead of Latham Joyner. He's got to be careful that Latham doesn't fly over him with the amount of air that Latham's got here tonight. Kynan Jones with a moment. He's going to go off the racetrack in the S's. Able to rejoin on the right-hand side of the racetrack. No issues there. He's just ahead.
68 is so much better in turn 11.
Yeah, Kian's done a really fantastic job through 11. He's right there. He is right there. I think Ethan's better through the S's here, Chris. He just looks to be a bit quicker than Kian, but Kian's trying to stay close enough not to have to work too hard if Ethan makes a mistake. And by staying close to these drivers on road courses, what you're doing is you're forcing their hand. You're pushing them to make a mistake. I know I've made mistakes because I've had someone behind me. I'm sure you have as well.
I've made mistakes out here running all by myself. I don't need somebody else out there.
You know what I mean.
Great road racer.
You know what I mean. But I want to point out, over the last lap or so, Tate Lytle has gained a second on these leaders.
They are going to get into some traffic, but I think it's going to take both of them making a mistake.
Oh, absolutely. It'll definitely take a mistake, but the fact that Tate's gaining this much puts him closer if they do make that mistake.
68 just drives into turn 11, gets through there so much better than the 92, but you're right. They're about even everywhere, except for the 68 makes up everything he loses to the 92 and the S's. Like, Ethan's so much better in the S's, and he makes it all back up in turn 11. And then the rest of the track, they're about even. 68 might even be a little better, but he's really sideways here.
Yeah, Kian's going to have to hope that one of the lap cars ahead of the Ethan Stanley machine, as we are 5 to go. The 2 cars ahead are Jesse Racines and Gerald Campbell. The hope is that one of them maybe slides up a little bit, causing Stanley to slow down and give Kian that chance to maybe make that pass. It's going to be very hard. As you see Tate Lytle joining the picture here, all 3 of the leaders were in one camera shot there a moment ago, as Tate Lytle has now cut a 1.5 seconds over the last 2 laps.
Here we go.
Michael Hosick with a moment right there. We're going to watch as the field heads down. They're going to head for turn 11. Kian was so sideways right there.
Yeah, but that was the best set of S's he's put together. He's closer now than he was
Absolutely.
last couple laps. And look at Ethan trying to get down in there and trying to figure out how to make up
He opens the door, though. He opens the door just briefly. Kian's closing that gap even further. Chris, I know you said they have to make a mistake, but you got to watch Tate Lytle here. He has gained another second.
The 24 spun, the 02 got down in there and got into it.
They do continue on. There was Jamie Haley and Michael Hosek. No cars really came to a stop. Tate Lytle is almost 2 seconds back now.
Yeah, and these guys are getting ready to get to racing.
They're catching up to the Jesse Racines machine. Racines in the 70, about to go an additional lap down. Currently running in position 24.
Oh, the 70's going to open. Oh, the 70 opened it up and then tried to take it away.
That is what Kian just needed right there.
No,
actually, Kian's stuck. Kian is stuck.
You would like to see the lap cars maybe have a little bit more awareness of what's going on here.
Racines currently multiple laps down to the leader. Just allowed Ethan Stanley to pull away a little bit. If I'm Kian Raleigh, I need Jesse to go wide there. Jesse opens the door. Here comes Kian. Tate almost 2 seconds back. He's about to cut in. Here he is. He's less than 1 second, or less than 2 seconds behind, as they actually gain that back to 2.4. Tate's not completely out of this at this point.
That was just,
it's going to be tough.
A great driver, but you'd like to see him have a little bit more awareness up there at the top of the hill to let both of them go at that spot.
Kian is now going to need to work extra hard if he wants to catch the Ethan Stanley machine. We are 3 laps remaining, coming to 2 next time by Kian. Kian pushes too hard. He pushed way too hard right there. I think that's Ethan Stanley's game right there. Of course, there's no saying that Ethan Stanley can't make the same mistake, because that is definitely a possibility. It's Justin Fuller. He's going to rejoin the field through the S's. He had an off-track moment. The black flag was briefly shown there. Now he's able to continue on. Gerald Campbell with a moment of his own. Fuller still trying to gather it back up. That has been cleared as this time by. It will be 2 to go for Ethan Stanley. Latham another moment there off the track. As we come to the line, Ethan Stanley through the Prestone zone. He's going to head to the start-finish line. He's going to face the popsicle sticks. 2 laps to go for the number 92 Blue Egg marketing machine. Blue Egg moving their partnership dollars over to the 92 this season. previously on the 40 of Tyler Fode, now on board with Ethan Stanley, and Stanley looking to cash in. He's trying to hold off a hard-charging Kean Raleigh and Tate Lytle, as Lytle closing that gap in on the second place Raleigh. Raleigh's still in it. He still has an outside chance to catch Ethan Stanley. It's going to take a lot of work, a Chad ton of effort here if he wants to catch him, but we are coming into the last lap and a half for Ethan Stanley.
Yeah, this 68 is going to need a pretty good lap and a half here to get back up. He's going to, and I think if he's able to stay here and finish second or third, he'll tell us that the point that changed it all was when that 70 got caught between them there at the top of the hill.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to try an 11 to close that gap, but he has to be careful that he doesn't push it too hard. As
you know what I say right here?
I see a lot of lap traffic, buddy.
It's 15 seconds to fourth place.
Yeah.
If I'm that 68, throw it all out there. If you mess up and spin or something, you should be able to get it gathered back up.
And the white flag is out, Chris. 1 lap to go. Ethan Stanley about to catch some lap traffic. That is Jonathan Cutlip and Josh Adams just ahead. Johnny Thomas not too far ahead of them. This will be an opportunity potentially for Kean to close that gap if these Pro Edge Toyotas make it a tough time just ahead of these of the leaders.
He's not close enough to just get it unless they want to be nice.
That's absolutely it. As we're going to head
and
towards...
he's going to be stuck behind them in the S's.
I don't think Kean can get there. Chad Frankenfield, Seth Rawls, they briefly come together, but the white flag is already out. Next flag is going to end this one, and the flag that they're going to see will have black and white checkers on it. As Ethan Stanley works his way through some of the final corners here on the racetrack. He's going to head down towards turn 11, which is the hairpin. Kean's going to have to send it. He's not going to here, though, as Ethan Stanley comes through turn 11, and he is going to be victorious. It's the Blue Egg Marketing number 92 for Lake Norman Motorsports. Ethan Stanley victorious tonight at Sonoma. Kean Raleigh second. Tate Lytle third. Tyler Fode trying to hold on to position number 4, and he will by quite a margin over Hunter Smith, who's going to come home in position number 5. David Tooker should hold on to 6th. Scott Crump in 7th. Seth Rawls in 8th. Back in 9th is Chad Frankenfield.
8th and 9th right here. This might be a big moment down here in turn 11. Chad's maybe just a little too far back.
Chad's about Kean distance from Ethan Stanley, now here with Seth Rawls. So it should be Rawls and Frankenfield in that order for 8th and 9th, with a Leighton Norgard coming home in position number 10, just barely over Braxton Deweese. We just went flag to flag here at the Sonoma Raceway with Ethan Stanley victorious here tonight. As Kean and Tate wreck each other after the race, just a little bit of fun there. Those two are known to each other. Just having fun. Nothing malicious there, Chris. Ethan Stanley, he's going to burn it down here tonight as he picks up his first victory of the season and his first with Lake Norman Motorsports. And Chris already standing by in the waiting room. We do have our third place driver, Tate Lytle, standing by for an interview with you.
All right, we are joined by Tate Lytle, who you've been picking and choosing when you show up. You haven't been here every week, Tate, but what's the schedule look like for the rest of the season? And every time you do show up, we're doing an interview, so obviously you can go win one of these championships if you got the time.
Well, I would have been in both races last week, but we had a wildfire. Not necessarily that close to me, but about 40 miles. And I live in a real small town, so it burnt the one fiber optic cable that brings my town internet. So I didn't have internet for about 4 or 5 days. So I missed all Daytona, which honestly didn't hurt my feelings that much. But man, I wish we could have had about 3 more laps there. I was saving the first part of that run. And I don't know. There are the last 10 laps. Sorry, I can't hardly hear you with these guys. I'm distracted. But those last 10 laps felt like I was gaining a lot of time on those guys. They were 6 seconds out. And then coming to the white, they were within like second and a half. And I was running 7/10 faster a lap. And I don't know. If I had one less guy between me and the leader, I might have been able to get something there on that last lap. But Kyan was, I didn't want to just move him. But oh my gosh, sorry, chat is so loud. But yeah, it was a fun race. I've always felt like I was pretty good at Sonoma. Got a new H pattern shifter, and I felt like that kind of helped me almost feel the car a little bit better coming around here. I was probably not as fast as Ethan and Tucker on the short run, obviously, or Kyan either. But I felt like on the longer run, I was able to manage the rear tire. I don't know if I was saving it anymore, if I was just able to get the worn out stuff around a little bit better. But 3 more laps, I felt like we had something. We were coming, and to finish within a second of the lead on a road course without the top 2 or 3 guys getting wrecked out, says a lot. Hopefully in the next couple weeks when we go to Watkins Glen in the Cup Series, I can have a similar run.
Yeah, and that's one thing Robert and I talked about. It used to be a solid day at the road course, just staying on the track. You finish around 10th, and now, we see Scott Crump, Chad Frankenfield running around 10. The road racing has gotten so much better. The drivers have gotten so much better. Some guys are newer, but like a lot of people who used to kind of struggle have gotten better. And like you said, the finish within a second. Our first 3 cars, no cautions, 55 laps, finished within a second of each other. That speaks volumes to the racing out here.
Yeah, it was a good run. Shout out to Ethan. I mean, he was obviously the class of the field. He gave me just enough hope those last 5 laps though to be able to get something there. But before you guys kick me out of here, I want to shout out Brent Wentz, Days Gone By, Vintage Racing Apparel. His Instagram got hacked a couple months ago, so go follow his new Instagram. Go to Days Gone By on Etsy. Check him out. He's got a lot of cool stuff.
A lot of new stuff, right? He just got a bunch of new stuff here over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
He's always got new stuff. Always got new stuff. And then shout out to Harpoon Brantley at Harpoon Designs for the car. Cool to have a little throwback Harvick scheme with his last season here. I'm trying to get tickets to Phoenix right now so I can go see his last race. But yeah, so close. But
well, all right, Tate. Thanks for coming up here and talking to us. Congrats on the run tonight. We're gonna see you in Coda on Monday there or on Sunday for the truck series.
No trucks, probably until the end of the season when the entries start going down. I didn't sign up for them early enough. Well, I didn't sign up for them at all. But I have a dentist appointment this Wednesday, so I probably will miss Cup again. But I should be able to be full-time just about after that. So I'm hoping to make a run at least the Cup Championship, maybe this one too.
Well, all right, Tate. Congrats on your run. Good luck at the dentist, and we can't wait to see you back out here on the racetrack.
Thanks, fellas.
That was Tate Lytle, your 3rd place finisher here tonight. And now joining us up in the booth, it is the 2nd place driver, Kian Raleigh. Kian, you mentioned on Twitter before tonight's race that you needed a strong result after a less than stellar debut last week at Daytona. Do you think you achieved that tonight with 2nd place?
Obviously I wish it was a little bit better. But, yeah, I think I'm going to leave and go home, or I should say go to bed tonight without a lot to complain about.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Ethan Stanley was absolutely stellar here tonight. It was hard for anyone to catch him, but you did your darndest there towards the end. At one point, you were right there with him, but then a little bit of lap traffic got in the way. Can you walk us through what happened there with the 70 of Jesse Racines as you guys were trying to go on by?
Honestly, obviously only being here a few weeks, I don't really want it to be my job to stir the pot. But I think, there were a lot of guys out there that were not a part of the race and insisted on making themselves a part of the race, which was pretty annoying. I don't really think he was that particular of a suspect. I mean, he got out of the way when he could. If he pulls over in the S's, he's going to fly off the racetrack. Mm-hmm. And, he's racing for something too. And, like I said, there were a lot of guys that definitely could have done a better job. But I don't think I would have been in a position to really throw it in or do anything, even if he hadn't gotten in the way.
Okay, and just looking at the race as a whole, do you think there was maybe an opportunity where you let it slip a little bit, that maybe if you had done one thing a little bit differently, maybe when it comes to your pit strategy or how you approached a certain segment of laps, that you could have been up there with Ethan right at the end and potentially been the driver in victory circle?
I think the pit strategy was correct. I would have liked to have go a lap or two longer, but obviously Tate, as soon as I got around him on the first run, drove immediately into the pits, and you've got to react, because if I don't, he's going to put 5 or 6 seconds on me in 2 or 3 laps. I mean, I honestly think the tire execution on the second run was not nearly as good as it was on the first run. I can tell you by looking at the numbers after the race, it wasn't quite as good. And I just think the freedom of, oh wow, look at this nice clean racetrack in front of me, instead of 4 or 5 other cars, obviously didn't help my case at all there. But honestly, I think the right call was made. I just could have executed a bit better, and then coming over the hill with about 4 or 5 laps to go, I nearly wrecked the car, which didn't help at all. So I think just a little bit of nerves, a little bit of pressure. I think some better driver execution will go a long way the next time we come to a racetrack like this.
Absolutely. Of course, it does come with the experience of racing with these guys, and you're definitely not new to iRacing, but new to Elite, so you still have to adapt to the drivers you're racing around and how you have to pace yourself throughout the event. But looking ahead to the next few rounds of the Rebilas Photography Grand National Series, next time out, we do head to the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway, followed by Indianapolis, the Oval, Las Vegas, and then the Chicago Street Course. Are any of those next 4 maybe something you have circled on your calendar as an opportunity to go out and snag a victory?
Indianapolis and Chicago, but honestly more the former. I love that place to death. And I think at Texas and Las Vegas, I'm going to be competitive, top 5, top 10 speed. I don't see anything going wrong there. But if I'm going to win a race, obviously I'd like to do it on a road course. I talk a big game, and I think I backed it up pretty well. But I'd like to go out there and win a road course race, obviously. But I think, as much as I do like Chicago, Indianapolis is probably my best shot. I love that place to death.
Absolutely, and as we are about to send you off here, this is your opportunity. The floor is yours to thank any sponsors, give any shout-outs, anything you'd like.
Obviously, the first shout-out goes to the guy that wrapped my car tonight. Spectacular-looking car. Jonathan Oates over at 73 Creative Designs. Did a spectacular job on this. Got it done in a matter of days, and it's always exciting to bring some variety to the racetrack and to drive a car that looks this nice. I mean, it's a privilege to have. Obviously, another big shout out goes to the guys that I raced with for the entire time, Ethan and Tate both. Tate was extremely respectful, extremely patient. Cut me a few breaks. I know I got into him a time or two. He was really calm and level-headed the entire time. And he's a guy I've seen in other series. I've never raced him until today, and honestly, I'm impressed. I hope he feels the same way. To Ethan for winning the race, obviously holding me off. I know I was charging for a little bit. If I was in his spot, I would have been incredibly nervous. And finally, to the guys behind the scenes that make the broadcast possible, the actual race possible. I had a little bit of controversy out there tonight, but it's just part of the experience. I think everyone did a great job, and this is a really enjoyable experience, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're definitely glad to have you, Kian. Congratulations on your runner-up finish tonight, and we will see you next time out.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Chris, that was Kian Raleigh, our runner-up here tonight, and finally this evening, standing by with you is our winner, Ethan Stanley.
Yeah, we are now joined by race winner Ethan Stanley. Ethan, you had a great race, solid race. You stayed connected till the checker flag. Got a little pressure there at the end, but take us through your night and everything that helped you accomplish a victory lane tonight.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the race, just missed out on qualifying first, and just put the pressure on Tooker for the first 10 laps or so, and I think it got him to burn up his tires. And from there, it just was all about managing the tires and just bringing it home.
Yeah, and you talk about managing the tires. What were you thinking there in the closing laps when Kian was closing in on you?
Well, the laps leading up to that, I was trying to save a little bit for that situation. So I think if he tried to make a move, I think I could have fended him off. He just didn't get the opportunity. A couple lap cars got in the way. Just unfortunate timing for him.
Yeah, and you're one of the best road racers here. So we've got some road races coming up here. That was obviously our Xfinity road course race there. We got the Stay Tuned Truck Series racing next week at Coda, and then also next Wednesday, is going to be the Cup Series at Watkins Glen, where you're looking for a little bit of redemption after the last race there. So are you going to run the truck race next week and try to sweep all 3 road course races?
Unfortunately, I can't run the truck race, but I'll definitely be there for the Cup race. Also looking forward to the Chicago Street Course coming up in the season, in the Grand National season.
Well, alrighty, Ethan, before we let you jump out of here and go celebrate with the rest of the Lake Norman boys, are there any shout-outs you want to give, sponsors you want to thank?
Oh, yeah, just a big shout-out to Blue Egg Marketing and IRAPS for being on the car this season. And just big shout-out to the Lake Norman guys. I was trying to help them out this race, and congrats to Fody on bringing home a 4th. And yeah, it was a tough one, but it was fun.
Well, all right, congrats, Ethan, and we look forward to seeing you again here on Wednesday going for a win in the Cup Series.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Chris, that was Ethan Stanley, our winner here tonight at Sonoma. And, well, that'll just about do it for us here on the broadcast as we pull up the final results. We'll have a quick look through. Kean Raleigh finishes 2nd, Ethan Stanley. Tate Lytle 3rd, Tyler Fody 4th, Hunter Smith in 5th, David Tooker, Scott Crump, Seth Rawls, Chad Frankenfield, and Leighton Norgard round out the top 10. Braxton Deweese, Trey Eidson, Ethan Burrell, Garrison Hogan, and Justin Fuller the top 15. Just behind them, we find Matthew Weeks, Joe Francis, John Cutlip, Michael Hosick, and Jay Kaner the top 20. As you see the rest of the field scroll on by on your screen. Chris, an action-packed night of racing here. A bit of controversy in the middle portion of the race with, unfortunately, a driver using a fast repair that shouldn't have been there. But Ethan Stanley showing his strength here on these road courses once again.
Yeah, it was a great race. We had no yellows there, green from flag to flag. First 3 cars, like Tate talked about, within a second. Great battles all night long. It was way better than I think anybody expected it to be. Nobody drove off and left everybody. Looking forward to tomorrow, going back out there with the ARCA cars. Got the Cup Series on Wednesday. Got the Open Wheel Series on Thursday. Full week of action here in Elite. So can't wait to see where it goes from here, as these seasons are just getting fired up and we get into a rhythm here over the next couple weeks once we get into some of our cookie cutter tracks and see where everything shakes out with the points.
Absolutely. And actually, speaking of points, before we get to my final thoughts of the day, Tyler Fody is your points leader by 5 over Josh Robin, 10 over Scott Crump, 17 over tonight's winner, Ethan Stanley, and then 21 over David Tooker. It's very close, the battle for the playoff spots, of course, super early in the season. But tomorrow night here on the Elite Racing Network, we're going to head to Kansas and do a little bit of Gen 4 racing with the pitpassnetwork.com ARCA series. 3 rounds to go in the regular season. Tomorrow at Kansas, next week at Bristol, and the regular season finale at Talladega. That one will have a playoff this season, so it's going to be a good time. But like Chris said, great night here at Sonoma. No cautions. Great driving throughout the field. Couple guys had their moments, but that's to be expected on these road courses. But that'll just about do it for us here tonight. On behalf of myself and Chris Wright, thank you to everyone behind the scenes: Dave Huckleberry, Chad Frankenfield, Blue Egg Marketing, TA Services, Worldwide Technology Raceway, Rebilas Photography, of course, and all of our partners here at the Elite Racing League. We'll see you back here tomorrow night, 7:30 for the pitpassnetwork.com ARCA series. And on behalf of Brent Jones, cheers.